welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 10 Simon Show, and welcome to today's episode of the 10 Simon Show. My name is Chris Obike, and I am your host. Welcome, everyone. I want to check right now to see how many of you have joined us live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome to this amazing episode. And today we're going to be talking about why your child is not bad at math and what happened instead. And so, if you're excited, if you're excited about today's session, we have started. Welcome, everyone, and welcome to this amazing episode. Just let me know if you are here. If you are here, then let me know where you are watching from. Let me know where you are joining in from. And I'm super excited to have you here today. Let me know. I'm checking. Just let me know. Let me know where you are watching from. And today we're gonna be discussing everything about. You see, this topic is very sensitive to me. It's very sensitive to me, and I'm going to try to pass on that same knowledge so that you can understand what is happening, and most importantly, how you can fix it. Because obviously, there's no need of knowing what the problem is if there is no solution inside. Mrs. Ibrahim, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Good. Amazing. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Let's wait a while for the rest of us to join. Good. Today, I want to start with something I hear almost every week where a parent sits down with me and they are like, "Oh, my child is so bad with maths." They say it like it's a fact. They say it like it's a fact, like it's just who their child is. Oh, some kids are good at maths, some are not, and mine isn't. You see, that is, or they tell you, "Oh, that's just life." But here's what I've learned after assessing hundreds of children: your child is not bad at maths. Your child is not bad at maths. Your child is not bad at maths. They were just taught wrong. And today I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. I talked about how this is a personal it's personal to me because I was typically this kind of student. Outside of the fact that I was a very bright child coming up, one of my major challenges was maths and calculations. I always felt myself as somebody who didn't know maths. It was always such a tough. In fact, all my life, far from the time I got to understand that, or I started feeling like I wasn't so good with maths, I started trying to avoid maths. It influenced everything. It influenced. Back then we were doing arts and science courses. I went to arts. I was good with science because, trust me, as a JS1 I was reading chemistry textbooks. But when it was time to choose, and I asked them which one has more maths, they said science. I said no, I'm not doing that. I want to go and do maths. I want to go and do arts. Where I will do. Even when we, it's so crazy that it still followed me up, and I'm going to tell you why. It wasn't until I think my second or third year in the university that I met someone who kind of now like came back and broke down a lot of the things that I used to be so afraid of, a lot of the things that used to be such a problem. And I realized that, oh my God, I am not bad at math. So it's just how I was being taught. It's just how I was being taught. And so I tell you this with every certainty, your child is not bad at maths. I'm going to tell you exactly what is wrong. I'm going to try to communicate the same thing that I learned when, the eureka moment that I had with that lady at the time. And you're going to see and understand why this is so important for you. Why this is so important and why you should have this outlook. Because once you understand, then you start looking at your child very different. So if you know anyone who's supposed to be here, you have a friend whose child is bad at math, or you have a sister, you have a colleague, please share. Just tap on the share button right now. There's the share button. Once you tap on your screen, there's a share button that you can use to actually share this live. Share this live is so important. All right. Now, while we do that, let's talk about math anxiety first. Let's talk about math anxiety. Math anxiety, it's a real thing. You see when your child freezes up during a math test or gets a stomach ache before math class, or something happens to them when math is going on, or they cry when you pull out homework, they're not being dramatic. It's anxiety. It's their body having a stress response to something that feels threatening to them. But here's what most people get wrong. What people get wrong is that they think the anxiety is the problem. They're like, oh, stop fearing now, stop being afraid. The anxiety is not the cocoa, is not the problem. It is just a symptom of the actual problem. The actual problem is that your child doesn't want to, or has been asked to do something they don't understand over and over, and every time they get it wrong, they feel a little more stupid, right? Every time they get it wrong, we as human beings, we don't like to fail. As much as there's this mentality that we were brought up with, which is like failure is failure. It's a fixed mindset, and we are shamed for failing. Like when you fail, everybody shames you. Everybody is like, oh, you shouldn't have. Why would you fail? You are a failure. Nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants to try and it will not work. Which is why we are so careful. We want to make sure, oh, does this work? Does this work? It shows up in every sphere of our life because nobody wants to fail. And so even with children at that age, the main reason for their anxiety is because they have actual evidence of failure in that space. They have actual evidence of failure. And so they fail and fail and fail. And after enough times, they feel like, this thing, I have been failing at this thing, I must not be good at it. Therefore, I don't want to do it. So that at that point, their brain starts treating maths like a threat. It starts becoming fight or flight. There's something called fight or flight. Fight or flight is when you are down to your human nature as a person, where either you run or you try to survive, which is like the base of who we are as human beings and how we respond to things. And at that point, learning becomes impossible. So when a parent tells me my child is anxious about maths, what I hear is my child has a gap that nobody found and it's been making them feel like a failure. These are two very different problems. The first one is talking about anxiety. Oh, I don't know what to do. The second one is more clear that, oh, this child has a gap, right? And so tell me, the thing is this, where do these gaps come from? Where do these gaps come from? They come from how math is taught. And I need to explain something that most parents don't know. Before a child can do math, you need something called number sense. Before they can do math, you need to grasp the numbers, right? Because the numbers are the language. Number sense is the ability to understand what numbers actually mean, not just to recite them, not just to 1, 2, 10, 10, 20, not count from 1 to 100, not count from 1 to 100. Is actually understanding why, what is 1, what is 10, Which number is after 10? And why is it after 10? So here's how you know. Here's a simple test that you can do today. Ask your child, which one is bigger? Which one is bigger, 67 or 76? If they can answer quickly, good. Now ask them why. Can they explain that 76 has 10 sevens inside and 67 has 10 6 or 6 tens? If they can explain, or did they just memorize that 76 is bigger than 67 in terms of how they count? Do they know why 76 is bigger than 67? Because it's a massive sense. A child with number sense understands quantity. They can picture what 50 looks like versus 500. They understand that subtraction is the opposite of addition, not just a different procedure. They can estimate, they can check if their answer makes sense. This is the foundation everything else is built on. And this is what most people skip. I think our major problem is that most of the time we are looking for showbiz. We are looking for something we can show to show other people that we're kind of like doing well or that we understand. Recently, there's been something that I've been seeing online. A lot of people post about it, and it's this Shenmue abacus thing. I saw it. I was very impressed. I was very impressed by the number sense and how children can think in that speed of light. But then the question is, why are we concerned about why is our prerogative how about creating shortcuts in terms of how children can do simple math? Because the truth is if you focus on what's the fastest shortcut to doing this, then the child will no longer be rooted in the foundations of that thing. The child will no longer be rooted in that stuff. Yes, they will be able to recite the number. It's like children abroad. I work with a lot of children abroad, and you see them, they can speak clear English. Their English is spank. But guess what? They cannot spell. They cannot spell. And that's because their foundation, do you know that the average educated Nigerian has more command of English language in terms of written and structured than the average American? The words that we use in this country, the words that the educational personnel they use in this country, most Americans think that they are too big. But we eat up those things. We use those words. There's a time on Twitter, a guy is a big founder, he's a billionaire. He was like, that one of the ways you know how someone uses AI is when they use the word delve, Delve. And I was shocked. Even everybody else was shocked because delve is a normal word around here. Everybody uses delve. I want to delve into today's meeting. We use it all the time. Right? So what I'm trying to say is that we go straight to procedures, carry the one, borrow one, do the formula, know the shortcut, without actually making sure that the children understand the foundations or the basics of what they're learning. And the reason why we are so concerned about let them be able to count 1 to 100, let them be able to do 90 plus 10, minus 5, plus 6, plus 7, plus 8, it's not because we are making, yes, we are increasing their brain processing speed in terms of how much they can use formulas and tests, but you are not actually grounding them in the actual thing. You're not actually grounding them. So what the child is doing, the child is memorizing the steps without understanding what they are doing, and it works for a while. They will pass the test. You, the parents, you will be so excited. You will clap. You will tell your friends, my child can do 10 minus 5 minus 7 minus 8. You will tell your friends, I'm so happy. Oh my God! But underneath, your child doesn't have a real understanding. And when the maths get harder, the whole thing collapses. The whole thing collapses. This is what I call the memorization trap, and it's everywhere. A child memorizes their 3 times table, 7 times 8, 56. Great. But do they understand what multiplication actually is? Can they explain that 7 times 8 means 7 into 8 times? Can they draw it? Can they apply it to a word problem? You see a lot of things we see in assessment is ask a child 7 times 8 is 56, 7 times 7 49. When you say, when you now see the same thing and you are like, okay, so I'm going to give you 7 oranges and you have to share it um 7 times among 50 people. How many times would you share that for you to get? The child is confused. Why? They don't understand. They don't understand. So they haven't really learned multiplication. They just memorize the fact. And fact without understanding is like building a house on sand. It holds up until rainy season comes or until the weather changes. When the work gets harder, when they need to apply concepts in new ways, the memorized facts are not enough. And then suddenly the child who was fine at maths, because the truth is, you now right now, it may not be a problem. For some of you, it may not even be a problem yet. Suddenly the child who was fine in maths is now struggling. Everyone is confused because, come on now, they need their times table or they could do what is mental maths. They didn't know the maths, they just knew the answers, or they knew how to get to the answers, but they didn't understand what they were doing. Those are two different things. The child came to us, he was primary four. Parents said he was terrible at maths. They hated it. The child would cry during homework. The school had basically written him off as this child is a maths person. So when we assessed him and we saw that he understood addition and subtraction perfectly. He could reason through problems. Okay, his brain worked fine, but he had one specific gap inside of that mass, which was place value. He didn't understand what tens and units was, and it affected exactly how he came to interact with the subject. And this was a concept from year 2 that he had missed. And because everything in maths builds on everything before it, that's the funny thing about that subject. If you everything that you do in primary one is what you're going to do in primary two, or we want to open up the doors for you to do primary two. If you do it in primary two, to open up the doors to primary three, it just gets more complicated. And so a child that misses one critical point in primary one, it is going to affect that child in primary two. There's no metaphalism, right? And so what we did was that we spent 6 weeks on place value. We didn't start working on, oh, this child is in primary four. Let's start teaching him more primary four work. No, we went back to place value. I was started teaching him place value just that. And once it clicked, everything changed. His math scores went up, his anxiety went down. He started saying things like, I like math now. He said, I like my math teacher. In fact, it's because of that math that parent is still paying us, because we're teaching another subject, but he will be like, no, I don't want to miss my math teacher. So he was not bad at math. He was bad at one thing that nobody bothered to find. Right? He was bad at one thing that nobody bothered to check. So if this is changing how you think about your child at math, if this makes sense to you, let me know in the chat right now. And why you do that? If you've not subscribed yet to our channel, hit that subscribe button. We are here every weekday morning, and we're going deep on how children actually learn, and share this. Also, share this with a parent who is convinced that their child is not just a math person. They need to hear this, because when you understand, it helps your decision. So tell me, has this episode has it showed you something that you didn't know, or did it help you? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Has this episode helped you? Does it give you something that you didn't already know? Did it give you more clarity on the subject, that to show you that whatever you think is holding your child back as around math, it's not really that, and that your child can absolutely learn when you attack it the right way. Let me know in the chat if this episode has been very valuable to you. And tomorrow is going to be even better. So, congratulations on staying to the end. If this helped you, I want you to stay to the end. I want you to share this stream with one of your loved ones, share it with your friends. Make sure you let them know that we are here every 7 a.m. I'm doing this for you. And I promise you, this is like really valuable stuff that you would have had to pay a lot of money for. And you get this every single morning. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about your child can read, what can they understand? Right? More like the English version of maths. The English version of what we talked about today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And make sure that you are here at 7 a.m. We are here live by 7. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow and have a good morning.